Yeah. You know, I was looking. Well, first of all, I know the unemployment rate's 8.8% nationally. Gallup has it at 10%. We don't include those that have given up looking for work, Frank. We don't include the underemployed here. A lot of conservatives got nervous over a statement that John Boehner made earlier in the week when he said, look, we only control. First, he said no deal was made after it had been reported so good for him in that respect. We control 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. We're going to continue to fight for the largest spending cuts that we can to keep the government open and funded through the balance of the fiscal year. Now, a Rasmussen survey shows 57%, Frank, they support a government shutdown. Do you think there's too much fear there?
But you've got to take it one step further, because they would support a government shutdown if they felt that it would lead to significant budget cuts. To shut the government, and I got to be blunt, Sean, to shut the government down for the sake of shutting it down has the support of only 20, maybe 25% of the American people. The others, to take you up to that 50%, they want to know that meaningful, significant cuts will be made in wasteful Washington spending so their kids don't get stuck with deficits and debts for years to come.
All right, here's the question that I have. Because, look, if there was a fear of a government shutdown, shouldn't there greater fear be that they promised the $61 billion in cuts this year? And in other words, if the argument is, well, we only control 1/2 of 1/3 of the House, that's not why they got hired. They got hired to take a stand. They got hired to fight. They got hired to bring fiscal discipline to Washington. And when next week, if there's not the government shutdown, Paul Ryan's going to release his budget. He's talking about $6-7 trillion. If they can't stand for tens of billions, how are they going to stand for trillions?
Well, what the American people want them to do is, number one, they want them to stand for accountability. Number two, they want them to say what they mean and mean what they say. These are all key phrases. Number three, they don't want you to make promises that you're going to break, empty promises, accounting gimmicks, or budget tricks. They want you to look them straight in the eye and tell them the truth. The key for the Republicans in their presentation, because the onus is going to be on them. Obama's a great communicator. He's got the power of the White House. The key for the Republicans is to make this about facts. If this is about facts, statistics, evidence, all wrapped around a commitment to our children and the next generation, I think they will succeed, although clearly the challenges are great. Let me go back
to the language a little bit here, because I think this is very, very important. You're talking about make it about children, make it about our future, tell people how it's unsustainable. What you're really saying, I think, is they have a responsibility to make their case to the American people. When we look at the people now in politics that are popular, the Marco Rubios, the Christies, the Jindals, the Bob McDonnells, the Kasichs, the Walkers, aren't they popular because they are fulfilling promises and taking a tough stand?
We tested an ad for Rand Paul, the new senator from Kentucky, and it was 30 seconds of policy, no platitudes, specifically what he was going to do with the budget, what he was going to do with taxes, and it was all wrapped around making significant changes. It was one of the best tested ads. The guy who ran against him, the Democrat, ran all sorts of negativity. What the American people told us in 2010 is, look me straight in the eye, tell me the truth, tell me exactly what you're going to do. I'm an adult. I'll pay attention, but take all the politics out of it. That's the challenge for the GOP when they do their presentation. And one more thing, Sean, I think it's going to be important, the PowerPoints, that old Ross Perot style of actually giving the evidence behind it. I think the Republicans are going to need a national education campaign over the next couple months. That will make them effective.
All right, Frank Luntz, good advice. We're going to follow this. 1 week from today, the government may be shut down. We'll get to that. And coming up, all right, so the unemployment rate dropped 0.1 of 1%, but why aren't you feeling the recovery? We're going to have that answer when we come back. Plus, it's eminent domain outrage in California. We have the details on the shocking battle taking place over a youth athletic center that could soon be replaced with what? Let's see, condos and retail outlets. Why? Because the government wants more money. Our own Ainsley Earhart is here with an exclusive report. Now, the unemployment rate inched down 0.1 of 1% to 8.8% this month, according to statistics released by the Labor Department earlier today. So why does the economy still feel so sluggish? Well, the Wall Street Journal clues us in as to what may be one of the key factors, and that is that Uncle Sam is now playing a far more prominent role than ever before. This op-ed reveals that twice as many people work for the government than in all of manufacturing combined. It reads, quote, every state in America today except for 2, Indiana and Wisconsin, has more government workers on the payroll than people manufacturing industrial goods. Joining me now with reaction from the Fox Business Network, Nicole Petalides is with us, and the host of the Willis Report, Jerry Willis. Guys, good to see you. All right, first of all, I'm happy the unemployment rate went down. We're still not creating jobs at a significant rate, number one. Number two, we're not counting millions of people that are underemployed and to stop looking for work. This is not an honest number.
You know, we have 13.5 million Americans who don't have jobs right now that need to be put back to work. If you factor in the rate as it's described today, 216,000 people a month, it would take us 5 years to put those people to work. And that's not even counting the people who enter the workforce during that time period. We are a long way from full employment.
Why the discrepancy, Nicole, when you have Gallup saying it's 10% right now, not 8.8%? Why do we have that discrepancy?
Well, everything appears to be much better than what it really is. What you're seeing is that people who are long-term unemployed, that continues to go up. People who are getting involuntary jobs,
it's worse than what we think.
Yes, exactly. So it appears like it's better, but it really is worse. People have taken jobs that they don't necessarily want. They're taking part-time jobs, and wages are not increasing at all. They're actually less than 1%, whereas consumer prices are going up 4.6%.
Yeah.
You are seeing government jobs coming off a little bit. That is some good news, I guess, but we'd like to see some competitiveness for some of those government jobs, for transportation and garbage, and that would save states some money as well.
Aren't we supposed, isn't this unprecedentedly bad in terms of a post-so-called recession growth period? And when I look at all the other factors, and I think this really needs to be every other key indicator that we look at here, national price of gas has gone up 3 times, you know, from a week ago.
It's doubled since Obama took office.
It's doubled since Obama took office. We seem to have the resurgence of inflation now that has emerged.
Right.
And Jay Carney denied that that's even happening right now.
It absolutely is happening. Look at what's happened with food. Look what's happened with gas. You know, the government says just look at core inflation. Take out food, take out gas. But I don't know about you, but I'm paying that every single week and month.
Yeah, and you know what? And by the way, if we add to that, it looks like we may be hitting another housing bubble where this is what started this recession in the first place.
Housing is stagnant. Housing is stagnant. You may see some of these employment numbers that look a little bit better, but housing is one thing that certainly, and this is really what people value, right, is their home. But their equity of their home really hasn't improved. On the contrary, the prices of the value of their home has actually gone down.
It's worse than stagnant. We are in a double dip now.
That's
in terms of the housing market.
Yes,
that's right.
Really,
all right, but wait a minute.
Really
if this precipitated what happened the first time with our recession, look, how many homeowners are now saying, you know what, I'm so far underwater, I'm not going to pay. I'll stay in here rent-free for a year until the police come and throw me out.
A lot of people are saying that. About a quarter of Americans are underwater right now with their mortgages. Not everybody takes that view, but some people will. Look, Americans are in trouble right now. It may be that the elites have gotten better. Wall Street is making better money, as Nicole can tell you very well. CEOs, the best profits they've ever had, and pay for CEOs up dramatically. There was a USA Today story today. But when it comes to regular Americans, they're caught in this vice grip. The value of their homes going down, income stagnant, going nowhere, inflation going up.
And we talked about that with the gas.
And employment opportunities now are not what they used to be. If there's a job opening, literally, you know, there's a zillion people out there just on the unemployment lines now that are trying to get a job.
It's very difficult to get a job. And what we talked about was the wages, right? You're making less than what we're seeing with inflation. So millions of Americans are really being squeezed. And as far as the government jobs, I mean, what we're seeing with the states is that they're having to pay, the money is being made to pay their benefits and for local and state governments. And if you could have some competitiveness, they're afraid to have competitiveness for these fields. And that would actually save these states some money.
Is it possible, if we looked at all these metrics combined, because the media was going insane today, you know, they're just looking to place an altar in front of the anointed one and light candles and say, oh, thank goodness Obama's here, forgetting record debt, record deficit, a second housing bubble, unemployment, unprecedented highs, and dishonest numbers. Are we saying then are you saying that you think economically things in this country are getting dramatically worse and we need to be concerned?
Well, look at this. Okay, we have supposedly been in a recovery for almost 2 years. It's about time for another downturn. I got to tell you, June 2009 was when the recovery
started. Thanks a lot, Jerry.
I mean, I know
what other
it's
good
bad
news do you have on a Friday night?
Consumers typically turn economies around. They haven't been here this time. We need the consumer to get better.
What does it mean when government has more jobs than manufacturing and industry combined for this country? In other words, aren't they saying we're not producing?
Well, that is absolutely true. I mean, on the one side, we have to be fair and just say when manufacturing over 25 years, technology has improved so people can make more stuff with less, right? But But at the same time, you don't want to see more government employees than private sector, right? And that's what we're seeing, and that's what our generation. I mean, are we raising kids to work for the Department of Motor Vehicles? And that's what this op-ed piece was saying.
By the way,
I mean,
I met the nicest lady who watches this show when I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
I'm all for the Department of Motor Vehicles.
She took care of me. I didn't have to wait long. She was nice.
Good benefits, right? And
she's got a job forever, Sean.
Well, she deserves it. You know, it was the first time I had a good experience at the Department of Motor Vehicles.
I did too.
You did too. All right. You might have had the same lady. She's a big Fox fan, and I was appreciative. All right, guys, really appreciate it. And so your prospects, double dip, recession?
It could be. I mean,
well, housing. Housing is really a
We're
problem.
in the housing.
Housing and inflation. Those are the two things to watch. Housing, the prices.
Stagflation.
And also the food and inflation for cotton and inflation for gasoline. These are the things that we're going to keep an eye on.
Last word.
Stagflation. I think that's where we're heading. Low growth, high prices. Get your Jimmy Carter sweater on.
That means misery index coming.
Yes.
Okay. Guys, good to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up, Ainsley Earhart reports on a shocking new eminent domain controversy in Southern California. You won't believe this one, and it is coming up next. You don't want to miss this. And Republicans on Capitol Hill, well, they couldn't resist taking advantage of the day and playing, well, an old-fashioned April Fool's joke on President Obama. We got the tape and much more Hannity straight ahead.